open with excited for an opportunity to play Baylor in the Sugar Bowl. I hadn't got to really address that other than the media teleconferences we had. We were 4 practices in and got a lot of respect for this team. Well, when you watch them on tape, they really play hard, toughness, competitive. I think Coach Rule does a tremendous job. The turnaround he's been able to do there is really incredible. They've played in a lot of really tough games this year. Got a lot of respect for their conference, having played Texas from their conference last year, and they do a fabulous job. So our guys, we really just kind of started on them specifically today, but we've had 3 or 4 practices that were more fundamental based, and the coaches have been working towards getting ready for Baylor. So excited about the opportunity to play those guys, and I know our players are too. Next thing would be signing date today, which is kind of a weird timing for everything because we've still got the February signing date coming up, but we were able to address a lot of our needs today. I really feel like, when you talk about wide receiver and you talk about offensive line, what we've got leaving and what we need on our roster, able to attack some of those areas and still have work left to be done, hopefully in both those areas. But we got a really good, strong group. We got some really strong academic kids, which matters a lot to me at this university, and some great competitors. A couple guys, I think 4 guys played for state championships, 2 guys won state championships. I'm really excited about this class. It's not completely done yet, but obviously a lot of the pieces are in place. So with that, I'll open it up.
Kirby, since we haven't had a chance to talk to you recently, can you confirm that you had interest in bringing Mike Bobo back as offensive coordinator? And also as a follow-up, would you anticipate or are you interested in making any change at that position?
Yeah, I talk to Mike often and Elias. We're really good friends. But as far as conversation about coming to coach University of Georgia, no. He and I conversed about what he was going to do when he was let go, but that was during the week of the LSU game. As far as any other changes or anything like that, that's decided, after the bowl game, after we look back at the whole year. We're working really hard right now on Baylor, on giving our kids an opportunity to play, and that's really where our focus is.
Coach, obviously a lot of wide receivers in this class. Can you just address it? It looks like that was a point of emphasis, and then you got 2 guys kind of late in the day.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to comment on but the guys that have got the paperwork in, but really excited about those guys. I mean, we've been excited about Justin for a long time. Marcus too. They both came to our camp over the summer and were as competitive as kids as you've seen out there in one-on-ones, and both of them had good senior years, and both of them won state championships. Arian's a kid who's got a lot of speed. It's pretty obvious that he can run fast. He wants to be able to run track here, which we've been very open to, and had success with Miko doing that. So that was a big selling point for him. And we had a lot of other kids join us today that we think are going to help us.
Coach, following up on the wide receiver aspect, specifically with Marcus and Arian being from the South Florida area there, how much of an asset does Coley play on the recruiting trail around this time of year with getting guys from that area that have been so important to your program over the last few years?
Yeah, I don't know if Arian would say he's South Florida. I mean, he's the Lakeland area, which to those kids is not really all the way down in South Florida. But I think Coach Hankton did a tremendous job with Marcus and his family. We've got great relationships at that high school. Jason Taylor is a coach there, a guy that I was with at the Dolphins, and Coach Harriet, Coach Coley's had great relationships for a long time. So those relationships help, but ultimately Georgia sells those kids on coming here. When they come up on visits and they come up and see the place, the academics coming to camp, the relationships that are formed have been big on convincing those. And those wideouts know that we have a need. They know they have an opportunity to play.
Kirby, I guess if you could talk about Carson Beck, but also the quarterback situation, are you going to look for another one in this class? And what kind of communication have you had with Jake about whether he's going to come back?
Yeah, start with Carson. Excited as I can be. This guy's come to camp since maybe his 9th grade year to our place. Has grown up and gotten better with each and every year. He came this summer hung out with our guys. Can't say enough about Carson, his family, the competitive nature that's inside him. He's been a winner. He won a state championship last year, at Mandarin, which is probably never been done before, I think, at their school. So he led those guys to that and did a great job. As far as any others, we're looking for all positions. We got some spots left, and we're looking at every position out there to sign best available players. And that signing the second quarterback's not out of the question, but it's not necessarily something we have to do. As far as Jake, we do with Jake exactly what we do with every player on our team. We bring them in. We talk to teams. I talk to general managers. I talk to organizations. We get information. We give those kids that information. This is a time when they're able to do that. And then when we get closer to the bowl game, we put it away, and then we come back and revisit it. And we've done those things with Jake.
Regarding the running backs, are you expecting Swift, Cook, Harrion, and Hudson to be playing in the Sugar Bowl?
All that's still to be determined. I mean, all those guys healthy right now, and Swift's recovering, from his injury, but he's out there practicing. He's doing everything we ask.
On Cook specifically, I mean, is he any punishment that he's because of his the incident that he had? And to follow on that, are there any players at this time that you know of that are not going to be eligible to play in the bowl game that might have lost their eligibility?
Yeah, with Cook, it'll start with the internal discipline that we always have, and then as far as anybody else, we're still gathering information as far as anything grade-wise, any of the stuff we would have. We're still gathering all that from school.
Coach, with Kendall Milton and signing him at running back, obviously he's a highly rated guy, so a lot of people knew who he was, but what was kind of the appeal to pull him, and how'd you guys sell him on joining that running back room that has a lot of names in it? And then also with Carson, is he going to join you guys for practice ahead of the bowl game?
Yeah, we're hoping to get Carson here for ball practice as soon as possible. Kendall, on the other hand, I think was attracted to the fact that he knew we had potential of two guys leaving. With Harrion being a graduate and being a senior, and then with the likelihood of Swift possibly coming out, I mean, he's sitting there going, you know what, there's an opportunity there. And I think any time when you look at it as a running back and you say they could be losing two guys, very similar to years past when we had Sony and Nick, you're always exploring those options. And we certainly thought that Kendall comes from a really strong family. Dale formed a great relationship with their family, and they came and visited all the schools across the Southeast and really liked what Georgia had to offer. So I'm super pleased to get him. He was one of our leaders in the class, and I'm excited about what he's going to bring to the table.
Coach, what was your level of familiarity with Matt Luke before the hire? I guess I went back and looked. You guys actually were on the field a couple of times against one another back in the day. And what do you expect him to bring? I mean, obviously he's an offensive line coach, but what does he bring beyond that?
Yeah, we were really fortunate and excited to get him. He was, the minute that I found out about Sam, the first guy that came to my mind and wanted to visit with. I've had a lot of respect for the job he's done everywhere he's been from the years, he was at Duke. He kind of came up under Coach Cutcliffe and played for him and has been a good friend of mine for a long time, and got a lot of respect for what he does, how he does it. I've been in SEC meetings with him now for a while. Very sharp, very intelligent guy, and that's kind of come to the realization on the road. When you go into home with him, he's got command, he's got presence. Kids like him. His team there, all the guys on their team, loved him as a head coach, and to do what he's done in the short amount of time he's done it was pretty remarkable because it was a tough timing situation, and so happy for Sam and Jamie the opportunity they've gotten, but Matt's come in and put the Band-Aid on the bleeding and done a tremendous job, and turned those three guys around pretty quick, and we'll continue to recruit the others.
Kirby, I know you were asked about offensive philosophy after the SEC championship. I'm wondering if a couple weeks since then you've had any time to reflect more basically on the struggles this year and whether scheme is part of it, whether you're going to look at the philosophy or if there's anything you'd like to clear up about that.
Yes. We've looked at it. But we want to score points. I mean, you guys want a simple answer like it's just going to poof and happen. It's all philosophy. It's all the plays that are called and the play designs. It's not everything. There's a lot of things that goes into having a successful offense, and we need to be better. I think everybody acknowledges that, and that's what we're working on really hard.
With Thomas and Wilson deciding to go to the NFL, how did that impact your offensive line recruiting? And maybe, I don't know if there's others from that position that might be looking at the same thing. And then also at that position, not having those guys for Baylor and the way that they get after the quarterback, how tough will that make it?
Yeah, anytime you lose one probably first-round pick, one potential first-round pick, it's tough, right? Those kids have an opportunity to go do something they wanted to do all their lives, and we give them the information, and we let them make the best decision for them. And for us, it's not like this is something new. We've known that this was the potential to happen with these two guys all year. We knew it as much as last year. So you're always trying to look ahead, plan ahead, develop players, develop your roster. Those guys have been out games, both of them, in the last 2 years. So we've had to play without them. So there'll be challenges, absolutely. There'll also be opportunity. And with opportunity, a lot of times guys get to answer the bell. And we're going to get an opportunity to find out some other guys that can play the position. And there's a lot of guys that have been working really hard all year to develop that are going to get opportunities in this game.
Another quarterback question, Coach. When you say you may or may not pursue another quarterback for this class, does that also include possibly pursuing a graduate transfer?
Yeah, we don't ever take anything out of the realm. When we've had graduate transfers in the past, that's like a constant study. We're looking at that for every position. Guys, it's simple. You want to make your roster as best as you can. That's our job as coaches. So we're in constant pursuit of every opportunity we have. So there's nothing that's off limits in regards to recruiting or making your roster better.
Coach, with bowl preparation this year, with the performance from last year, you got your recruits in the early signing today. How important is what you put on the field for your bowl solidify who might sign later? You know what I mean? Because they'll make a choice on how they think you guys look in the bowl game as well as.
Yeah, maybe. They may look at it as an opportunity. But what's important for our university is that we go play the best football game we can and that we have a really positive attitude and outlook on it. And we've had 4 great practices. Our kids have been tremendous in those 4. And we've been really fast, physical, and fundamental, and we've been doing it quick. But those guys that you're talking about in the future are going to make their decision based on usually pertains to what opportunity they have to play, what our institution offers from an education standpoint. I don't think it's all based on the outcome of one game.
Yeah, Coach, looking at the transcript from the SEC championship game press conference, you said something to the effect of not bringing guys to bowl games that weren't engaged. Does that mean that if they're not playing in the game, they're not going to be there? Is it that cut and dry? And also about lessons learned from last year specifically, is there a team-wide sentiment that what happened last year isn't going to – has anybody just come right out and said that?
No, I think we've got really good leaders on this team, though, and a lot of those guys have addressed the attitude and the practice habits and all those things. And like I just said, they've been really great. They've been awesome. They've handled that really well. As far as going to the bowl game or not, both those 2 guys have been tremendous. They've been awesome, but they let us know what they're going to do. They're working out. They're getting ready and preparing for the draft, so we don't really have a decision to be made there.
Kendall, I think, is the first person, or at least first recruit from California for Georgia since like 2006. Is it an emphasis to try to get more out-of-state guys? Because it's been that way this year and last year.
No, it hasn't been an emphasis. It's been more of what are our needs and who can we get. And we try to go out and evaluate and find the best character football player, students. All those factors for us are important. And Kendall certainly checks the box on all those, and he just happens to be from California, but that's not a prerequisite. We want to get the best football players we can and student athletes we can.
Coach, can you confirm reports that Ben Cleveland's not going to be able to play in the bowl game?
Cannot confirm that, no, because there's still things out there. So, nothing's final yet.
I imagine you have a good sense of maybe what's left between now and February for your class. Can you kind of speak to how you feel about, how it might shape up with the final stretch here, beyond what you're going to have today with your signees?
No, I can't really. I mean, we've got guys that I can't comment on, so I can't say anything about. I mean, I don't really know what you're asking.
Well, just that, you might have 17, 18 games today, but what you have in February might look different if you have added some other targets. I'm sure you have a sense of, how guys feel about you as they make their final decisions.
Yeah, I can only comment on the ones that have signed today. That's all I'm allowed to comment on. So I'm excited about the ones that signed today and looking forward to finishing off the class with another great class. I'm very pleased with what we brought in today, and I'm very pleased with what we've got coming forward in February, but I can't talk about it.
With the guys that you signed today, how many of those guys will come in tomorrow, the next week, early enrolls, and how many of them will you take to New Orleans with you?
I think we're going to have 6 or 7 mid-year enrollees, but they may not be here in time for bowl practice. Some are electing to play in the All-Star games. Some still have to get all their academic paperwork in to be able to enroll mid-year, and some will be here for the practices.
Coach, you touched on this in one of the teleconferences that you had earlier about the Sugar Bowl, but how seriously do you think your guys are approaching this game as opposed to last year?
I thought they approached it serious last year. We didn't play real well, but we had a bunch of young guys that got to play on defense, and offensively we had turnovers. When you have turnovers, you don't win football games. We've kind of gotten to that point, and we're at a 0 turnover margin, and they're at a plus 14. So for the last 4 days, we've been banging that home. We can't have turnovers and win football games. So certainly excited to give our guys an opportunity. They've all embraced the challenge, and that's what you do as a leader. You confront and demand and say, this is how we're going to do it, and if you don't do it to the standard, then you don't play. And all these kids have been great. They've done a good job of that.
How would you evaluate the defensive guys you got today, particularly on the defensive line?
Excited. I think those 3 guys, when you start looking across the country, defensive linemen are hard to find. 6'3" plus, 300-pound plus athletic guys. They don't grow on trees. I mean, you don't just go pick them and grab them like you do DBs and find them wide receivers. They are hard to find, big physical presence guys, and that we needed that. We're losing some core guys, and those 3 guys, to me, they're as good of a group as you'll find in the country with 3 of them coming in together that we really need.
Coach, I was going to follow up on that just from a numbers standpoint and a need standpoint. What were the areas you wanted to address and what's left? I know you said you want best players still out there, but from a numbers standpoint, what did you really want to hit on, and what areas you think you got to hit now?
I don't know what you mean by numbers. If you're telling me, asking me how many more we're going to sign, I don't know that.
Just as far as a priority
Yeah, I would say O-line and receiver were the biggest areas that we had to improve our roster. But you can't say that in a class because a class has all the parts. So if it's missing one part, then you could be deficient 2 years from now, 3 years from now, maybe next year. So I don't feel like that we're going, oh, man, there's a major deficiency here. We've got a good, really balanced class. I mean, you could say linebacker, but we felt like that it was not a need to have to go take a guy at inside backer because we had some young guys there. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's what I'm getting at.
Going back to the SEC championship, when you had guys like Lewis Cine and Tyreek Stevenson, especially Lewis Cine, I guess. Well, what was it about his growth that kind of led you guys to give him some more play time there? And then I know that probably the scheme of LSU kind of played into that, but also we've talked about it throughout the year. But the fact that a lot of these freshmen contributed, did that help with you guys signing some of these guys?
I don't know how many of these guys look at that and acknowledge that. I don't know if that's really important to them because it's twofold. Yeah, they play a lot of freshmen. Well, everybody in the country plays a lot of freshmen because our rosters aren't as deep as they used to be. Also, sometimes they see that as that's another guy in front of me. So I don't know that has bearing all the time, other than we will give good football players opportunities to play. And if you're good enough, you're old enough. You don't have to be a certain age. if you're good enough, you're old enough. And we've always had that mantra around here. But Lewis had done some good things during the year. He'd really played well when given the opportunity, and he did some good things in that game. He's one of our faster players, and he helps matchup-wise, and he's one of our best tacklers. So that was why he got the opportunity.
How many practices are you having on campus? And given that it's the same bowl, are you changing anything up in terms of just so it's not like a repeat of everything last year in terms of the activities for the players and just the whole approach?
Now we don't get to pick the activities for the players. The bowl picks a lot of that, and having been there a lot of them carry over their traditional activities. But as far as us, we did a quality control last year when we got back of everything that if we had to do it again, what would we do different? What can we do better? We took those sheets out, and we're looking at that, and we've made some changes, some subtle, some major, and I'm excited about the opportunity. But that's why you do that when it's fresh on your mind, right when you get back, because we're very detail-oriented of, okay, well, would we stay there? Would we go there? Would we do this? Would we have this game? Would we do that game? Would we practice this way? Would we practice this time? Look at all that and try to find the best available option. But at the end of the day, it's really what kind of person are you inside. Like when you look at yourself in the mirror, can you accept that you did your best and you did your best, or do you feel like you did less than your best? And that's what we're challenging the guys to do. That comes from inside.
Thank you. With the coaching change on your staff this year, with players coming and going, I'm just wondering, you personally, how you've adjusted. I mean, this has been 4 years for you, but it looks like this off season has been a busy one. I just wonder, how have you adjusted, and what have you learned from just this particular off season with all the transactions that have been going on around you?
I don't know this any different. We had somebody last year, right? He's at Colorado. He was a defense coordinator. Yeah, so I mean, to me, this is part of the profession. When you win football games and you win your division 3 years in a row, people get opportunities. And I am happy that Sam Pittman gets the opportunity he gets. We've had other coaches on our staff get opportunities that have elected to stay, and that is a good thing. But for me, the next step is getting ready to play Baylor. It was signing the signing class today. Tomorrow it's getting our players ready to go play Baylor. The next step is a Monday practice for Baylor. So we're working on game prep for those guys, and I don't really get into where this is compared to last year or the year before. It's next thing up. What's important now?
Coach, I don't mean anything about it, but I'm just curious. No immediate availability for this week for players. Kind of what comes behind your decision for that this week?
Well, a lot of it comes from our players, and our players have really felt like during the year there was a large burden and taxing of them with schoolwork and a lot of the things they had, and a lot of the same guys doing the media and the younger guys not doing it, and that's just philosophical, to be honest with you. And our guys have enjoyed the break, and we're going to focus on us, and we're going to do that in-house, and it's just a choice I get to make. Is that it?